So how can you take the power of dreams and use that power in your waking life? Is it possible? Yes, absolutely. You just have to know how to do it. And that's what I'm going to share with you in this video. I'm Brent Michael Phillips, and I'm here with this whole series on Ignite Your Intuition to give you all sorts of incredible tips and tricks and secrets to help you to develop your intuitive ability, to read the future, to read your body, to know what you need to move your life forward, to make more money, to find love, to have success. And learning to use the power in our dreams in our daily life is actually part of it. And that may seem a little crazy. It's like, how does that work, right? How does the power of our dreams translate into daily life? It's through the brain wave. That's the secret. So a little bit about the brain and how humans work. That most of the time, our brain wave is in what we call a beta state. That's a high frequency state, 13 to 40 cycles per second. That's called the ego mind or the fear mind. So you probably spend 90% plus of your waking time in a beta state. The trouble with the beta state is it's very limited in its power. What you'll find is that if you look at all the research into paranormal phenomena, such as reading the future, instant healing, things like that, they're all strongly correlated to the theta brain state. So what is a theta brain state? Well, the theta brain wave is the brain wave of dreaming sleep. It's a very slow, low frequency wave, 4 to 7 cycles per second. And it's called the theta wave because the theta state is what we go into when we're asleep and dreaming in what's called REM or rapid eye movement sleep. So when you're dreaming, you're in REM sleep, which involves a theta brain wave. And here's the thing about the theta wave. It is a magical key that unlocks the power of the subconscious mind. This is the key. Most of us, when we think about our mind's power, are vastly limiting ourselves. Why? The subconscious is literally 1,000,000 times more powerful than the conscious mind. That's a fact, right? So how do we harness that power? It's simple, by learning to lower our brainwave. So I mentioned before, we spend most of our time when we're awake in the beta state, high frequency, 13 to 40 cycles per second. Those of you that meditate know that meditation brings us a lot of benefits, right? Stress relief, pain reduction, you'll live longer, etc. And it works because meditation lowers your brainwave. It takes you out of the beta state into what's called the alpha state. That's a slower brainwave, 7 to 12 cycles per second. It's associated with relaxation, super learning, being refreshed. But typically, if you ask people who meditate, you say, hey, how do I get to a theta wave? They'll laugh at you. They'll go, you want to meditate to theta? Okay. Practice every day for 30 years. And then go live in an ashram for 5 and on a mountaintop for 10. So that is the traditional answer. The good news is I learned from some amazing teachers a shortcut that can get you into theta in seconds. So it does not take 20 or 30 years of meditation and training. You can get there in seconds. And once you're able to get to that theta brain state when you're awake, you have started to unlock the true power of your mind. This is what I want to show you how to use for instant healings, for clearing blocks, for manifesting, for finding love, for making money. You can do all these things, but we got to get into the power of the subconscious. That involves the theta state. And the theta state may also be the missing piece to move you forward with your intuitive ability. This was true for one of my clients and students a long time ago. One of my very first students, her name was Betty. Betty had come to one of my classes where I taught healing and intuitive readings, and she had been doing this stuff for over 20 years. You may have wondered, what the heck is DNA activation? Is it real or is it just a scam? And if it's real, is this important and how do I get my DNA activated? I'm here to answer those questions for you right here in this video. My name is Brent Michael Phillips, and I've created this whole series of videos on YouTube on Ignite Your Intuition to give you all sorts of incredible tips and tricks and shortcuts to help you develop your intuitive skill. Because it took me a journey of over 10 years and over $250,000 spent to learn these things. And I'm going to give them to you right here for free on the YouTube channel. So first, what is DNA activation? Well, let's talk for a second about what is DNA. Most of us, including most of our scientists and doctors, are only aware of what you might call the first layer of the DNA, the one that resides physically in the body. You know, the double helix shape, right, that we all learned about in high school. So that is the physical layer of the DNA. And it's really important because the DNA held inside the nucleus of your cells is a blueprint or a recipe book that tells your body how to make proteins, which is essentially the basis of all life. So there's incredible intelligence in the DNA. It's literally the code for creating all biological life. So what is DNA activation? Well, there's actually more than one layer to the DNA. There's 12 in total, but the other 11 are in a higher dimensional stack. They're sort of dimensionally stacked upon them. And what do these 11 layers do? Well, quite simply, in the same way that the first physical layer of DNA gives us the codes to create physical life, the other layers of the DNA have the codes for the higher dimensional aspects of life, doing instant healings, reading the future, manifesting the things you want to show up in your life. These are all higher dimensional technologies and effects. And the way you code for them is written into your higher dimensional DNA in the same way that your physical body is made from code stored in your first layer of DNA. But what happened was a long time ago, we'll skip the drama for now. I'll probably circle back to this in another YouTube video. Humans in the distant past had all 12 layers fully activated. We were fully higher dimensional beings. Reading the future, instant healing, communicating with the environment, it was very easy. But something happened and those other 11 layers got turned off. And we've been stuck for the last 250,000 years in this four-dimensional bubble of biology, thinking that that's all there is to life. There's not. Science has proven there's all these different kinds of higher dimensions. There's at least 11. I think at least 12. Science has identified 11. So we know there are these higher dimensions. And so is DNA activation real? Yes. Is it important? Yes. And for some people, this might be the one missing piece that's holding you back. You can do all these intensive trainings and learning and masters and shamans and psychics and all that. But if your DNA hasn't been properly activated, you may struggle just for that reason. So here's the question: how do I get my DNA activated? And do I have to spend a lot of money or go through some complicated process? The answer is no. However, there are people that offer and sell these expensive, complicated processes, partly because that's the way it used to be. Back when I came into this world over 20 years ago, meaning the self-improvement world, right? Energy healing, law of attraction, right? I'm not a teenager, obviously. The DNA activation process was a very specific technique you had to learn that had to be done in 2 parts exactly 2 weeks apart. So I got my DNA activated by my first teacher, Terry, a long time ago. But it changed at a certain point. And nowadays, all you need to be activated is to either receive a healing or just be in physical proximity to someone who already is. It's almost like it's contagious, right? That if you're activated, you go into a room with a bunch of people, they all get activated too. So is it necessary to spend a lot of money or a lot of time? No. And what I want to give you before we finish this video is a path forward where you can get your DNA activated for free. But before we do that, I want to ask you a question, and I'd love to hear your answers in the comments. What do you want to do with your intuitive power? Why is this important to you? What are you going to use it for? Do you want to be a medical intuitive, look inside people's bodies, help them with their health? Do you want to read the future? Do you want to use it to read who you should be dating or where you should be investing? I'd love to hear from you in the comments of how you want to use this, because I'm going to take that and aim my future videos at exactly what you want to see. So please click like, click subscribe, let me know what it is that you've experienced in terms of this and what you'd want to use it for. Why do you want this big intuitive skill? Would love to hear from you. Awesome. So last thing I want to give you is a chance to get your DNA fully activated for free. So it's really simple. I'd encourage you to hop over to my website. We'll put the URL on the screen. It's also in the comments. You can go through my spiritual power quiz. Will take you about 30 seconds. I'm going to ask you a couple easy questions to help you identify your spiritual power. After the quiz, you're going to have a chance to click the button to get registered for the free online live Healathon webinar. Now be aware, I only do this a handful of times a year. It is a live webinar. It's not one of those things where it's a recording and I'm pretending, no. So we only do it a few times a year. But during the Healathon, you will have a chance to ask questions and get a free healing from me. Show up at the Healathon. I'm going to talk all about all 7 sacred tools of higher dimensional living. I'm going to lead you through some amazing interactive exercises. You'll learn how to check yourself for subconscious blocks. We'll walk you through a subconscious block clearing. We'll entrain you into the quantum field. Many people start to see energies and auras with their open eyes when we do this. There's really nowhere else in the world that we can do this, but I know how. And I'll also activate your DNA for free. Just show up at the Healathon and ask, and you are all set. It's really that simple. So if you've struggled with energy healing, intuition, law of attraction, the thing that might be holding you back is your DNA may not be fully activated. But the good news is it's really easy to do. And if you want to either book me for a private session, I'm happy to do it, right? Just bring something else for our other 59 minutes. Or show up at the Healathon live webinar and I will give you a DNA activation healing totally for free. You can't beat that, huh? I am Brent Michael Phillips signing off, and I hope to see you again very soon in our series of videos on Ignite Your Intuition, or maybe at our live Healathon webinar. Until then, take care and namaste.